Our message today, which will be done by me, I'm standing in for our minister, Reverend Rollins, and our minister in training, Christy. The title of the message is, I heal the whole of me. I heal the whole of me. This message was inspired by a little conversation we had at the end of our study group on Thursday, and by some of the not so nice events that happened last week. We saw so many things happening in our beloved country that are unlike God, unlike what we know and love for our country. And I start this message by asking, how are you handling this? How are you handling it? And in our little discussion in the study group, so a similar question was asked, and so the minister said, I'm trying to take the high road. So I am telling you today, and this is confession, I did not know any high road last week. I could not find the high road. And I know I spent a great deal of last week, if I may put it this way, rolling around in the gutter. I've been saying thoughts that was coming through my head, thoughts that had nothing to do with what we say we stand for, thinking a better thought and doing better. That is last week's happening. And I know I'm not the only person who was there. Because when I look at and listen to persons on social media, I know the entire country has been affected, not in a good way, by this. I know I struggle. I struggle like most people, like most of the country, with hurt for the victims and their families, with disappointment in actions taken and not taken. I struggle with judgment. I struggle because of my own thoughts and how contradictory it was in relation to what I've been learning in unity. In our foundation statement, to see good in everything, no way I could find anything good in any of those events of last week. I couldn't see it. And I struggle because of my human self, my ego self, who always believed that I could fix it. I could fix it. I can't. I couldn't. There was nothing that I could do. You remember in 2014, we used a title for our 3-day workshop with Reverend Pike to heal a nation. I still like to feel that when I step out, or when I answer somebody's call, or when I answer somebody's request for prayer. You know I'm not a prayer warrior, but when I do that and I send them a blessing each day, that I'm doing my part towards healing the nation. So I want to share with you today some thoughts about healing. This is a quote from our founder, Charles Fillmore, about healing. He says, "To heal is to realize a principle that is a truth, our oneness with God. In the knowledge that within us is every capacity we could need to sustain us in our life, moment by moment." And when things like, all those unforeseen incident of last week happened, how far are we from this thought? This thought that says that everything is available to help us to heal. But we take ourselves away from it. With me, getting myself into the gutter of negative thinking, of thinking that is not the best. And of course, once you start thinking it, you start speaking it, and you speak it, and you speak it into the environment. But how do we heal? How do we heal? I know, tested and proven, that healing takes place when we can see beyond what is in front of us. When we can see beyond it. And how do we see beyond it? What we were taught. There's good in everything. We will not be able to see it right now. But what we could do is not ask why. Just say, "Thank you, God. This is in your hand. You're in charge. You know what this was for. I am open. I am receptive to the lessons to be learned from these things that are unlike you. Thank you, God." What we can also do to help ourselves heal, hold a high vision of truth. Think better, do better, hold that high vision. And another foundation truth again, there is only one presence, no matter what it looks like. The presence of God has been, was in all those places, and will continue to be. We have to remove our thinking from all of those limited kinds of thoughts and places, because we have the power to do so. We've been given power to change our thinking, to release things that do not hold for us right now. And one of the other Unity writers, I know he wrote, when he was asked, how does he cope? This is a minister, Jim Rosemucci. He was asked, how does he cope? He said, by forgiving. And I know all of last week, my conversation to tell them, I don't know how to forgive this. I can't forgive this. Somebody have to give me something concrete that I can hold on to for me to be able to forgive some of these things that happen. And I'm sure that's the thought that all of us, I am waiting for the results from the autopsy to see what happened before I could. I am waiting to hear if the police was there on time, could have prevented some of the murders that we saw happening. When we harbor these kind of thoughts, they go with judgments. Judgments that is not mine, it's not yours, but yet still, it was easy for me to do that. It was very easy, and I'm sure it's easy for a lot of us. Once our emotions has been so involved. Jaden Rosemary said, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. He says, this realization takes the duty off of other people and it places it where it belongs, on our shoulders. Isn't that something? Whenever we are brought to a place where forgiveness needs to happen, I know that we start looking for, I forgive so and so because they did so and so to me, to the nation, to the child, to a woman, to whoever. He said, all forgiveness is self-forgiveness. When we take ourselves to those places that they need to apologize, they need to be sent to prison, they need to be charged, and all of that, we are taking the responsibility of how it's affecting each and every one of us. It's affecting us the way it's affecting us because of my own thoughts, our thoughts. My thought says to me, I can never turn my back on a 2-year-old. My thoughts says to me, if I was the neighbor next door to the woman who was killed, I would have said something, I would have done something. Maybe not, but that's my ego talking. So that's my thinking that I need to forgive. I don't need to take one blame that does not belong to me. And the healing method, and I know I did this in this church before. First thing we have to acknowledge. Acknowledge what has happened. Don't look for hows and whys and whens. Just acknowledge it happened. Acknowledge that how I feel about it is about me and no one else. We have to confront it. You have to see it for what it is. It's societal norms, not societal norms. And it can never, ever be right. And we have to anchor ourselves in the oneness of God. How do we do that? We know. We pray, we meditate, we use affirmations after affirmations after affirmations. Yesterday I had a call, and I said this to Red. I said, we type up all the information to be printed in the daily word about prayer, health, and all of that, and it's printed in the daily word. And our phone number is printed there. Not realizing at the time when I sent that information to the printer that I would be the person answering the call for prayer help. Me, the person who is not a prayer warrior. But God is good. And there are so many methods of praying for people. So it's working. So yesterday I got a call from this lady. She wanted us to pray for an adult son who is not having good relationships with his female partner, money, and all the things that makes people feel alone and so on. So I told her, well, of course, I told her what I tell her, God is in control and so on. I sent her messages and I said, so she said, I got your number from the Daily Word. I said, but you have it in your hand. You have all that you need in your hand. I said, you see, she said, reading Daily Word for how many years? And she went on to tell me that she knew Reverend Ase. She said, do you know that Reverend Ase? I said, I didn't, but I know about her. So she's now forgotten why she called me. So she's giving me. But within the conversation, I was able to get in. Pay attention to the word of the day. Pay attention to the words at the top of the day. She said, oh boy, I don't read that. Don't forget also the affirmations at the front of the book. She told me. She said, oh, the inner peace and so on and so on. I said, but this is exactly what you're asking for prayer for. So my instruction to her was, choose again. And this is one of the things that we have to do when we are looking for healing. Choose again. Last week I chose to be upset. This week I'm choosing to believe and to know that God is in charge. God is in charge. It's not for me to correct anything. Another healing method is to let yourself be guided through the necessary steps to achieve healing and using all of the tools that we have been given. This month is a month of power. Remember? And I know for a lot of us, we remember the color more than we remember what the power can do. The power of our words. This is where we came in. This is where we began. Remember, God did what he had to do, and then he spoke life into it. So whatever we want to do, whatever healing we want, we have to speak the life into it. Use that power that we have been given, the power of speech. That will transform our thoughts will be transformed. And everything within us will be transformed. We also have to make a new choice. And I remember the story in, this is John 21, I think, where the disciples were fishing. It was the disciples who was fishing, and they fished all night and could get nothing. So Jesus called out to them and he said, children, do you have any fish? And they answered no. Because they've been fishing in the same place that they've always been fishing. And what did he say to them? Cast your net on the right. This is what we do. We need to do this. Change what we've been doing. Change what we've been thinking. Change what we've been saying. Because remember, in each of those actions, it gives power and energy to the thing that you need or don't need. If you need fish, go ahead and pass it to the right. And Charles Fillmore tells us that fish means peace of mind. Isn't that what we're looking for? Peace of mind from out of the turmoil of this is bad, shouldn't happen. We could do better than that as a nation, as a country, as a neighbor, from physical healing. Fish with physical healing. If at every turn I focus on what's hurting me, my big toe, then I could never, ever enjoy the goodness and health of the rest of my body. Not me saying that. Word to Philip. Our emotional wellness and healing. Again, it all depends on what we are cultivating here. Somebody wrote a quote that says, the grass will grow where you water it. If what you water in is negative and the seeds that is not what you want, or the seeds of the weed will grow and your plant will not. So if it's emotional health you want, make sure you water it with emotional wholeness. And in closing, I want to say this. The key to healing lies in finding within yourself the omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient light of God. Not my words, Charles Fillmore. Family, we have at our fingertips, within us, because of who and how we were created, in order to live whole and healthy, in peace and healing. Thank you for listening this morning. Be blessed.